Have you ever walked into a room feeling perfectly fine, only to leave feeling completely drained? Like someone just sucked the life right out of you? What you're about to discover will change the way you interact with people forever. But before we dive in, if you're serious about mastering your energy and attracting the life you deserve, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for Attraction Magnet. Drop a comment below telling me the last time someone's bad mood ruined your day, and smash that like button if you're ready to take your power back. Trust me, you'll want to save this video, because what I'm about to reveal, most people will never figure out in their entire lifetime. Now, let's get straight to it. Here's something nobody talks about. Right now, as you're watching this, you're surrounded by energy vampires. And I'm not talking about some mystical nonsense. I'm talking about real people, draining real energy from you every single day. Your coworker who complains nonstop, your friend who always has a crisis, that family member who turns every gathering into a drama fest, even strangers on the street radiating frustration and anger. And here's the worst part. You've been taught to just accept it, to be polite, to be understanding, to be there for people. But what nobody told you is this. Every time you absorb someone else's negative energy, you're literally giving away pieces of yourself. Think about it. How many times this week have you felt anxious, irritated, or exhausted? Not because of something you did, but because of someone else's mood? How often have you carried home stress that wasn't even yours to begin with? Let me tell you something that might shock you. The average person loses up to 3 hours of genuine peace every single day because they're processing other people's emotional garbage. That's 21 hours a week. That's 1,092 hours a year, 45 entire days of your life, stolen by other people's bad energy. Are you really okay with that? Now, here's where it gets interesting, and this is the part that's going to make everything click. The ancient Roman emperor and philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But there's a deeper truth hidden in those words, something most people completely miss. When someone's negativity affects you, when their bad mood becomes your bad mood, do you know what's really happening? Most people think the other person is doing something to them, like negativity is some kind of contagious disease you just catch by being nearby. Here's the truth that might sting a little. Negativity can only take root in you if it finds something within you to attach to. Wait, what does that mean? Let me explain with a story. Imagine you're standing outside during a rainstorm. If you're a rock, the rain just slides right off you. But if you're a sponge, you absorb every single drop. The rain doesn't change. What changes is what you're made of. The same thing happens with negative energy. It's not actually invading you. It's finding cracks, wounds, and unresolved emotions inside you, and it's exploiting them. That coworker's constant complaining, it only bothers you because somewhere inside you fear you're not doing enough either. That friend's drama, it triggers you because you have your own unresolved chaos you're avoiding. That family member's criticism, it hurts because deep down you're already criticizing yourself. Now, stay with me here because this next part is crucial. Have you ever noticed that certain types of negative people keep showing up in your life? Like, you get rid of one toxic friend and somehow another one appears? You leave a job with a nightmare boss and your next boss has the same energy? This isn't coincidence. This is the mirror effect. The universe, or life, or whatever you want to call it, keeps sending you the same lesson until you learn it. And the lesson isn't about them, it's about you. Every negative person in your life is showing you something you haven't resolved within yourself. They're not your enemies. They're your teachers. Annoying, frustrating, exhausting teachers, but teachers nonetheless. And here's the thing that's going to blow your mind. Once you truly learn the lesson, those people either transform around you or they simply disappear from your life. Not because you pushed them away, but because you're no longer a vibrational match for their energy. The Buddha understood this perfectly when he said, "Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die." But it's not just anger. It's absorbing their anxiety and making it yours. It's carrying their stress and calling it empathy. It's taking on their problems and thinking you're being helpful. You're not helping anyone. You're just poisoning yourself. So what do most people do when they encounter negative energy? They resist it. Someone snaps at you, and immediately you feel that surge of defensiveness. How dare they talk to me like that? Your mind starts spinning. You want to snap back, defend yourself, prove them wrong, or at least tell them how unfair they're being. And in that moment, you think you're protecting yourself. But here's what's actually happening. Resistance is like a rope in a tug of war. The harder you pull against their negativity, the more connected you become to it. Think about it. Have you ever tried not to think about something? The more you resist the thought, the more it dominates your mind. The same thing happens with negative energy. When you resist it, when you fight against it, when you try to prove it wrong, you're actually feeding it. You're giving it your attention, your mental energy, your emotional investment. You're making it stronger. It's like being caught in quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink. So, if resistance doesn't work, what does? Here's where everything changes. And I want you to really pay attention because this is the skill that will transform not just how you deal with negative people, but your entire life. The answer is presence, not positivity, not ignoring people, not pretending everything is fine. Presence. What does that mean? Presence means being fully aware and anchored in the present moment, without being swept away by the emotional turbulence around you. When you're truly present, you become like a massive, unmovable rock in the middle of a stormy ocean. The waves of other people's emotions crash around you, but they cannot disturb your core. They cannot move you. They cannot change you. But here's the secret most people miss. Presence isn't about being passive. It's about being so solid in yourself that nothing external can shake you. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine someone comes up to you and starts yelling, completely out of control. Their face is red. They're gesturing wildly. They're saying things that would normally hurt you or make you angry. Now, in a normal state, you'd react. You'd feel your heart rate increase. You'd feel anger or fear bubbling up. Your mind would start racing with defenses and counter-arguments. But in a state of presence, something different happens. You observe them yelling, but you don't absorb it. You see their pain, their frustration, their loss of control, but it doesn't become yours. You're like someone watching a movie. You can see what's happening on screen, but you don't become the character. And here's what's fascinating. When you respond with presence instead of reaction, the other person's negative energy has nowhere to go. It's like they're trying to throw a ball at you, but you're not there to catch it. The ball just drops to the ground. Negative energy thrives on reaction. It feeds on resistance. But when you offer neither, when you simply remain present and grounded, the negative energy dissipates on its own. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. But if I don't react, if I don't absorb their energy, doesn't that make me cold? Doesn't that make me uncaring? Sit. This is the beautiful paradox, and it's something that confused me for years until I finally understood it. True compassion doesn't mean absorbing someone's pain. It means witnessing it without becoming it. Think about a doctor. When a doctor sees a patient who's sick, does the doctor need to become sick too in order to help? Of course not. In fact, if the doctor caught every disease their patients had, they'd be completely useless as a healer. The doctor maintains their health so they can help. They observe the sickness, they understand it, they feel compassion for the patient's suffering, but they don't absorb it. This is what real compassion looks like with negative energy. You can acknowledge someone's pain, you can feel empathy for their struggle, you can even help them if it's appropriate, but you don't have to carry their burden as if it's your own. In fact, here's something powerful. When you stop absorbing people's negativity, you actually become more helpful to them, not less. Why? Because you're no longer adding your own reactivity to their chaos, you're no longer mirroring their dysfunction back to them. Instead, you become a calm, stable presence that shows them a different way of being. You become the eye of the storm, the place of peace in the middle of chaos. And often, just by being that, you help others find their own center again. Let's go deeper now, because this is where real transformation happens. Every time you get triggered by someone's negative energy, every time their mood affects yours, every time you feel yourself absorbing their emotions, that's not just an annoyance. That's valuable information. Your triggers are messengers. They're trying to tell you something about yourself that you haven't dealt with yet. Let me give you some examples. If someone's anger makes you immediately defensive, what does that tell you? It might mean you have unresolved guilt or shame. It might mean you don't feel secure in your own worth. It might mean you're carrying old wounds from childhood, where anger meant danger. If someone's sadness makes you anxious or uncomfortable, what does that reveal? Perhaps you're afraid of your own sadness. Perhaps you never learned how to process grief. Perhaps you were taught that emotions are weakness. If someone's success makes you feel inadequate or jealous, what's that showing you? It's revealing your own insecurities about your path. It's highlighting areas where you don't feel good enough. Do you see what's happening here? The negative energy you're absorbing isn't random. It's specifically targeting your unhealed wounds. And this is actually a gift. Because once you understand what your triggers are showing you, you can do the inner work to heal those wounds. And once those wounds are healed, those triggers lose their power over you. Now, let's talk about something critical. Boundaries. Most people think boundaries are about building walls, keeping people out, saying no all the time, being cold or distant. But that's not what healthy boundaries are at all. Healthy boundaries are about maintaining your own peace while still allowing others to have their experience. Think of it like this. You can be in the ocean without drowning. You can swim in the water, enjoy it, move through it, but you don't have to let it fill your lungs. You maintain the boundary between where you end and the water begins. The same applies to people's energy. You can be around someone who's negative without absorbing that negativity. You can listen to their problems without making them your problems. You can care about their struggles without taking on their struggles. Here's a practical technique: the energy boundary visualization. When you're about to interact with someone you know carries heavy negative energy, take a moment first. Close your eyes or just focus inward for a few seconds. Imagine a clear, protective boundary around your body, like an invisible shield made of light. This shield allows positive things to pass through, but negative energy simply bounces off it or dissolves when it touches it. Now, I know some people will roll their eyes at this. That's just imagination, they'll say. But here's the thing. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. When you consciously create this boundary in your mind, your entire being, your posture, your breathing, your energy field shifts to match it. You become less porous, more solid, more grounded. And others feel this shift too, even if they can't explain it. They unconsciously sense that you are no longer available to be their emotional dumping ground. So they either adjust their behavior around you, or they take their negativity elsewhere. Here's one of the hardest truths to accept, but it's also one of the most liberating. You cannot control other people. You cannot fix them. You cannot make them change. I know you want to. I know there are people in your life who you desperately wish would just see things differently. Just calm down. Just stop being so negative all the time. But wanting them to change is itself a form of resistance. And remember what we said about resistance? It ties you to their energy even tighter. The philosopher Epictetus taught, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. This is the essence of acceptance, not passive resignation, not giving up, but the powerful recognition that the only person you can truly change is yourself. When you accept that people will sometimes bring negative energy into your space, something remarkable happens. The burden lifts. Because you're no longer trying to control the uncontrollable. You're no longer exhausting yourself trying to manage other people's emotions. Instead, you redirect all that energy inward. You focus on your own response, your own state of mind, your own peace. And paradoxically, when you stop trying to change them, they often change on their own. Not always, but often. Because you're no longer feeding the dynamic. You're no longer playing your part in their drama. Let me tell you something fascinating about negative energy. It needs fuel to survive. Negative energy is like a fire. And what does fire need? Oxygen, reaction, engagement. When someone is in a negative state, they're unconsciously seeking one of three things: a fight, validation, or sympathy. They want you to argue with them, agree with their victimhood, or feel sorry for them. And when you provide any of those three things, you're feeding the fire. You're giving their negativity the fuel it needs to keep burning. But what happens when you don't engage? When you don't fight back? When you don't validate their complaints? When you don't offer sympathy for their self-created problems? The fire starts to die out. Not immediately, but gradually. Without fuel, it cannot sustain itself. Now, this doesn't mean being rude or dismissive. You can still be kind. You can still acknowledge them as a person. But you don't engage with the negativity itself. For example, if someone comes to you complaining about the same problem for the 100th time, a problem they refuse to do anything about, you don't have to listen to the whole story again. You can say something like, I hear that you're frustrated. What are you planning to do about it? Notice what that does? It shifts the energy from passive complaining to active problem solving. And if they're not interested in solving the problem, if they just want to complain, they'll quickly realize you're not the right audience. By not engaging with negativity, you actually help dissipate it. You become like water that puts out fire instead of wood that feeds it. Everything we've talked about so far leads to this ultimate realization. Dealing with others' negative energy is not about changing them. It's about transforming yourself. When you make this shift, when you truly embody this understanding, you become a different person. You become someone who cannot be easily disturbed, someone who maintains their center no matter what storm is raging around them. And this transformation has ripple effects in every area of your life. Your relationships improve because you're no longer reactive. Your work performance improves because you're not constantly drained by office drama. Your health improves because you're not carrying the stress of everyone around you. Your own goals and dreams start manifesting because you finally have the energy to focus on them instead of being consumed by other people's chaos. Think about the most peaceful, grounded, unshakable person you know. Have you ever noticed how negative people either avoid them or quickly calm down around them? That's not an accident. That person has done the inner work. They've transformed themselves into someone who simply isn't a match for chaos and drama. And here's the beautiful part. You can become that person too, not overnight. This is a practice, not a destination. But every time you choose presence over reaction, every time you maintain your boundaries, every time you refuse to absorb someone else's negativity, you're building that unshakable core within yourself. Here's something powerful that happens when you master your own energy. You start modeling a different way of being for others. Remember how we said negative energy needs reaction to survive? Well, the opposite is also true. Positive energy, calm energy, grounded energy, it influences people too. When you remain calm in the face of someone's anger, you show them that it's possible to stay centered. When you don't absorb someone's anxiety, you demonstrate that peace is a choice. When you set healthy boundaries, you teach others that it's okay to protect their own energy too. You become a living example. And sometimes, without saying a word, you inspire others to transform. I've seen this happen countless times. A person who learns to master their own energy goes back into their family system, their workplace, their friend group, and suddenly, things start shifting. Not because they're preaching or teaching or trying to fix everyone, but simply because their presence has changed. Energy is contagious, both negative and positive. And when you become a source of grounded, peaceful, unshakable energy, you naturally elevate the energy of spaces you enter. Let's get specific now. I want to give you practical tools you can use starting today. Every morning, before you check your phone, before you interact with anyone, take 5 minutes to establish your energy boundary for the day. Sit quietly, breathe deeply, and visualize yourself surrounded by a protective light. Set the intention. Today, I will observe, but not absorb. I will care, but not carry. I will be present, but not porous. Throughout your day, when you feel someone's negative energy starting to affect you, practice the pause. Take 3 deep breaths. On each exhale, imagine releasing any energy that's not yours. On each inhale, imagine drawing in your own peace and power. This simple practice creates space between stimulus and response, and in that space, you reclaim your choice. When you're in the presence of intense negativity, focus on physical sensations. Feel your feet on the ground. Notice your breath moving in and out. Feel the weight of your body in the chair. This brings you back to presence and prevents you from being swept away by emotional currents. Practice seeing negative people as suffering people, not bad people. When someone is being difficult, silently think, this person is in pain. This person is struggling. But their pain is not mine to carry. This creates compassionate distance. You can see their humanity without absorbing their dysfunction. Before bed, review your day. Identify any moments where you absorbed energy that wasn't yours. Imagine releasing it now. See it flowing out of your body like water going down a drain. Then fill yourself back up with your own light and peace. This prevents you from carrying the day's energy into your sleep. Once you've mastered the basics of not absorbing negative energy, there's an even more advanced practice. This is different from blocking it or avoiding it. This is about being so grounded in your own peace that you can actually neutralize negativity through your presence. Think about it like this. A water filter doesn't avoid water. It allows water to pass through, but it transforms dirty water into clean water. You can become like that filter for energy. When someone brings negativity to you, instead of absorbing it or blocking it, you can allow it to pass through your awareness, but in that passing, it gets transformed. They came to you with chaos, but they leave feeling somehow calmer. They came with anger, but they leave feeling somehow heard and understood. This isn't about taking on their emotions. It's about your own energy being so strong, so stable, so grounded, that it naturally elevates whatever comes into contact with it. This is mastery, and it's available to you. When you stop absorbing others' bad energy, your relationships undergo a complete revolution. First, the toxic people start falling away, not because you're pushing them out, but because you're no longer feeding the dynamic that kept them around. They either transform or they find someone else to dump their negativity on. Second, healthy people start showing up. Like attracts like. When you're no longer operating from a wounded, reactive place, you start attracting people who are also doing their inner work. Third, even difficult relationships improve. That family member who always pushed your buttons, they still might try, but the buttons don't work anymore. You've rewired yourself. And when they realize they can't get the old reaction, they often shift their behavior. Fourth, you become a person people want to be around. Not because you're always positive or fake happy, but because you're genuine, grounded, and peaceful. People are starving for authentic peace in this chaotic world. When they find it in you, they're drawn to it. We're coming to the end now, and I want to leave you with the most important truth of all. Your peace is your responsibility, not your parents', not your partners', not your bosses', not society's. Yours. No one can disturb your peace without your permission. No one can make you absorb their negative energy unless you allow it. No one can steal your calm unless you hand it over. This is both terrifying and liberating. Terrifying because it means you can't blame others anymore. You can't be a victim of people's negativity. But liberating because it means you have all the power. You don't have to wait for the world to become more positive. You don't have to wait for people to treat you better. You don't have to wait for circumstances to improve. You can choose peace right now. You can choose presence right now. You can choose to stop absorbing and start observing right now. So let me ask you, are you ready to stop giving your energy away? Are you ready to stop being everyone's emotional sponge? Are you ready to reclaim your peace and protect it like the precious resource it is? Because here's what's going to happen when you do. You'll have more energy for your own dreams and goals. You'll sleep better. You'll think more clearly. You'll feel lighter. You'll be happier. You'll attract better people and situations into your life. You'll become the person you were always meant to be before you learn to carry everyone else's burdens. This is your moment. Not tomorrow. Not when things calm down. Not when people start treating you better. Right now. You have everything you need within you already. The power has always been yours. You just forgot it for a while. You gave it away, piece by piece, every time you absorbed someone else's negativity. But today, you take it back. Today, you become the rock in the storm, the calm in the chaos, the light in the darkness. Today, you stop absorbing others' bad energy, and your life will never be the same. If this video resonated with you, if you felt something shift inside you while watching it, I need you to do 3 things right now. First, subscribe to Attraction Magnet and turn on notifications so you never miss content that could transform your life. Second, leave a comment below. Tell me, what's the first thing you're going to do differently the next time someone tries to dump their negative energy on you? I read every single comment, and I want to hear your commitment. Third, share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. You know someone who's drowning in other people's negativity. Be the person who throws them the lifeline. Remember, your peace is your power. Protect it, nurture it, and watch how your entire world transforms. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, Stay grounded, stay present, and stay unshakable.